Hello, I'm Jenny from King Cardiva Dolls, and today I'll be repainting a CA Cupid doll for Valentine's Day. I repainted one a few years ago, but I changed her into a whole new character, and this time I'd really like to take this secondhand doll and remake her, but keep her as close to the original idea of the doll as possible, while putting my own spin on it, of course. You can see she's not in great shape. She's missing her hands and she's got some scuffs and her dress is very yellowed, but that's okay because we're going to remake her. First, I remove the head of the doll by placing the head in a cup of boiled water for a few minutes until it softens, and then I pull it off of the doll. This helps to melt the glue inside the head as well. That's usually leaked into the hair, which had happened on this doll because there was a lot of gross glue in the head that took a long time to pull out. Once that's done, I use 100% acetone to remove the factory paint on the head and the face, and also to clean it up because this one is especially sticky after pulling all of that gross gunk out of her head. Once the head is nice and clean, I give it a spray with Mr. Superclear and wait half an hour for it to dry, and then I can go in with my pastels and my pencil crayons and start on the face up. This was actually the second time I had to do the face up, as the first time, for whatever reason, sometimes it's usually weather related, the Mr. Superclear just won't set right, and as I started on my second layer, it just kept peeling off. So I had to remove the whole face up and start again. But that happens. I've been doing this for almost 3 years now, and it's still a toss-up sometimes. That just happens and you have to start over. But usually I find that the face up ends up even better the second time, so it's not a big deal. For face ups, I use soft pastels and watercolor pencils. For the soft pastels, I use, forgive my pronunciation because I'm sure this is wrong, but Schmincke Pastels. I got them in a doll customizing lot on eBay a few years ago, and they're very pigmented and so great, and I love them, but they're way too expensive for me to afford new, so I'm really glad I got these secondhand ones. They're what I use for the pinks in this face up especially, and you can just see like they go on so smooth, and it doesn't take very many coats to really like build up a strong color, so that's why they're my favorite. I also used PanPastels and Faber-Castell soft pastels for the face ups, and for the watercolor pencils I use Derwent Inktense and Faber-Castell Albrecht Durer pencil crayons. They are both wonderful. I have a lot of lower quality pencil crayons that I will use sometimes, but for the most part the Derwent and Faber-Castells are the ones that I use the most. I usually start a face up with pastels first, and that lets me just sort of lay out the face, and it's easy to remove with an eraser if the eyebrows are off center or I change my mind about eye color or size or anything like that. The pastels are way easier to remove than the pencil crayons. So I start with them to sort of map out the features the way I want, and then I go in with the pencil crayons to just build up the color and make everything stand out as much as I want it to. At this point I use white acrylic paint to highlight the eyes. Please forgive my camera placement and recording skills, as obviously I'm not used to doing this on camera, and there were a lot of times that the face was no longer in frame and I didn't notice, and also I had my camera turned the wrong way, as you can see. I want to start recording my doll making process more often to share, and hopefully as I do that I will become better at it, since yes, it could definitely use some work. But I still wanted to share this one because I am really happy with how she turned out, and being able to sort of stick with the original doll more than I usually do. It's rare that I remake a doll in its own image, if that makes sense. Usually I totally make them someone new, and because the Monster High dolls aren't being made anymore, I do want to at least make one of every doll made over to just be themselves. The only ones I've managed to do so far are Caddy Noir and Draculaura and Viperine Gorgon, so I have a lot of them to do still. Those repaints are also quite a few years old now, and I know I could do better, so I'm probably going to end up redoing those ones as well. Here I'm just doing some really basic body blushing. I didn't sand away any of her factory details this time. She has her cool fade to black arms and legs, and I did have to paint her a new set of hands because I did not have Cupid specific hands, but I think I just repainted a pair of Frankenstein hands black, and that was pretty simple. I used some black pastels just to sort of fill in the spots on the arms and legs that had been chipped and that you could see the white coming through where it should be black, but that's pretty much all I did to the body this time. For her hair, I used 100% acrylic yarn that I brushed out and then used a hair straightener on to turn it into, I don't use wefts, I actually just glue the loose hair onto the head with my hot glue gun. I know this isn't how most doll artists do it, but it works for me, and I hate waiting for glue to dry, so I just cover the head in saran wrap and put the hair right on the head with the glue, and with the glue over the saran wrap it actually creates like its own wig cap, so I don't have to do that either. Because this doll has a middle part and then also bangs, I glued the hair on in different directions so that it would look right, and then just sort of kept it separated as I went. Then I curled it all with a chopstick and my hair straightener. For the shoes, I used these Catrine Demue shoes, I believe they are, and I filled the center part in with epoxy sculpt to make them into platform shoes. Then I sanded them really well and cut off some of the straps and coated them in black glitter. Lots and lots of black glitter. And I was really happy with how they looked. I added some flowers to the sides and a ribbon to lace up the leg, and also some black feathers to match her wings that I made. For her wings, I used craft wire and just twisted it around a bunch to make it sort of a skeletal frame, and then I glued all of the feathers on that to try to make it look like realistic wings. And then I used the rest of the wire to make sort of a strange body harness for her to wear underneath her dress. For her dress, I used a fan that I got at the dollar store. I just removed the fabric from it and sewed it up and made a really cute little skirt. I made a puffy underskirt and then just sewed a really basic dress out of some old fabric I had that was really pretty, sparkly, which is sort of the theme for this doll, and just decorated it with ribbons and tried to stay sort of near the original design for the doll, at least along the same color scheme as her original clothing. I then grabbed everything I could from my craft supplies to just decorate her dress and make it as fancy as possible. Her outfit definitely took some time to put on with all the tiny laces and bows that needed to be tied, but I'm really happy that her dress ended up looking at least a little bit similar along the same lines anyway as her original dress, just sort of a really fancy version of it, I think. Oh right, and I made her a little bouquet, and I also wanted to include removing the saran wrap from her hairstyle, which I used to sort of keep all the curls and everything in place until they set properly. And then I used Pearl X powder just to give her cheeks that last little bit of shimmer, and I also used gloss varnish on her eyes and lips. I've included some pictures with my original CA Cupid repaint just to see the contrast between them and between, trying to stick with her original design versus the first time around when I just made her whole new character. If you enjoyed my video and you like how she turned out, please leave me a like and also consider subscribing to my channel as I will be posting more doll videos in the future. If you have an idea for what doll you'd like to see me repaint next and you want to leave me a comment down below and let me know which one, that would be great. I hope you all have a wonderful Valentine's Day, and thank you so much for watching.